Hey, what's up guys? Joker here. Hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to be taking a quick look at the PC port for House of the Dead Remake, which is available now over on Steam for $25, which, might not sound terrible until you realize you can easily beat this game in under an hour. And sure, there's some replayability. You can go back and, try to save all of the people in the game without losing anyone and all that kind of stuff. But you can beat it very, very quickly. It is definitely an improvement visually over the original game, which I remember playing at movie theaters when I was a kid for like $1, where you'd actually get to hold the physical gun and, shoot at the screen and all that. This is just played with mouse and keyboard. It's incredibly easy and incredibly easy to cheese your way through the 4 chapters in the game. I beat it in 32 minutes. So we're going to jump in, take a look at the graphics options, and discuss the performance quickly, just as a way of just kind of delving back into some nostalgia for House of the Dead. So let's get into it. But first, today's video is brought to you by Primetekmart.com, where you can save money on software like Windows 10 Pro licenses for under $25. They've also got Windows 10 Home for under $20, and now Windows 11 Pro you can grab over on Primetekmart.com. They've also got Office 2019 and the new Office 2021. And if you want to save an additional 20% at checkout on Windows 10 or any other software, go ahead and click Buy It Now, and during the checkout process, go ahead and put JP20 in and apply that coupon, and that'll give you 20% off of any software that you happen to pick up over there. So for Windows 10 Pro, you can see it dropped our price down from $24.46 to under $20. So be sure to hit up the links down in the description below, and don't forget to use my coupon code JP20 at checkout for an additional 20% off. First up, as always with these types of videos, I do like to jump into the graphics options. There's not a ton of graphics options in this game, but there are some there. As you can see, I'm playing here on 4K. It's got an exclusive full screen mode. It's also got full screen windowed or maximized window. Also got shadow quality in here, which goes either low, medium, or high. And it's got on or off toggles for anti-aliasing, bloom, motion blur, and ambient occlusion. And obviously, if you've been watching my channel for some time, you know I absolutely hate motion blur, so I did have that disabled. In terms of the performance, I can't imagine anyone out there having a terribly difficult time getting this game to run, but that's not to say that it ran it. Like, I honestly, even with the updated visuals, as this is a remake, I thought it would run at a locked 120 FPS all of the time, even at 4K, since I am running a 3080 Ti after all. But that was not the case, and it wasn't like stuttering or hitching or anything like that. There was a couple of like little hitches when it would sort of like load into the next chapter, but that can all be forgiven. I mean, it's just loading in, honestly. You can't really complain too much about that. During the actual gameplay, during the fast-paced moments, there was no issues with the performance-wise, stuttering, hitching, anything along those lines, and it was pretty much over 100 frames per second the entirety of the time playing House of the Dead. So yeah, not too difficult to run. Anyone on any sort of modern hardware like NVIDIA 10 series onward or AMD 500 or even 400 series onward, you'll probably have an okay enough time being able to try to play this game. And it is quite brief, so I'm only going to briefly spend time talking about the performance of House of the Dead because, like I said, it's not too difficult to run. I mostly wanted to talk about this game for nostalgia purposes and the gameplay and whether or not it's worth you dropping $25 on House of the Dead, which is, as I said, available now on Steam. And I'd have to say no. I mean, even for nostalgia purposes, if you've never played House of the Dead and you don't have any nostalgia for it, there's absolutely no reason to go out and spend $25 on this. If you are deeply nostalgic for House of the Dead, I would say it's a maybe pickup if you really want to get it and really just want to relive those old memories. There's nothing wrong with the game at all, but it is extremely quick. And what made it challenging, sort of like when we were kids, is like we would have to play it with an actual gun and aim it at a screen, which was a little bit more challenging. And also you would die very quick, and then you'd have to pump another $1 full of quarters into the machine, which is obviously what they wanted, so they can make as much money off those arcades as possible. But playing it on the PC, you don't get infinite lives. You basically get 10 redos or something like that, and it has like a little thing in the corner that looks like coins and stuff like that. But when you die, you basically just hit enter and you restart right where you left off. It doesn't even restart really. You just pick up right where you left off, honestly, with the same enemy. And I did die like maybe 4 times or so throughout the playthrough, but it gave me 10 lives total. So it was not an issue getting through the entirety of the game, all 4 chapters. I actually beat it in 32 minutes, and I stopped to go take a leak, and I was going to stop after 3 chapters because I wasn't sure how many there were, and then I looked up, how long is this game? And it was like 4 chapters. I was like, oh my god, there's only 1 chapter left, I may as well beat it. So even with stopping to go take a leak and message a buddy of mine who was curious about the game, I beat it within 32 minutes, which is pretty impressive, honestly. I think that's the fastest I've ever beaten a game. Did I have fun? Sure, I had a lot of fun, but it was very easy to spam and cheese the enemies. I mean, you literally only have to use 2 buttons, as it's a House of the Dead game, so it's completely on rails. It was designed to be played on arcade, where you only had a gun that you would shoot at the screen and then aim off screen to reload, if you remember those back in the day. So with this, you know, having mouse and keyboard, you essentially have a crosshair on the screen that you can move around, and you just aim with the mouse and shoot with the left mouse, and you have to reload with R, but the reloads in the game are instantaneous. So you don't even really need to wait until you empty out your gun, and I found myself about a chapter or 2 into the game realizing I can just spam the left mouse and the R button at the same exact time, and I never had to worry about reloading my gun. I didn't have to, like, shoot guys and then think, okay, should I reload or something like that, which kind of messed me up a little bit early on, like just shooting a gun like regular until it was empty and then reloading it, or until I went to the next area. So I found myself at the end of the game, even on the final boss, just spamming the left mouse and R, and I don't think I got hit even once on the final boss. And the final stage of the game, you essentially just go through this area with a couple of little cutscenes, and you more or less just replay against the bosses from the previous stages, except for the very final one, which was incredibly easy. I mean, it was, like I said, I beat the game in 32 minutes. I died a few times, but if I had, from the beginning, if I had just been spamming left mouse and R to reload simultaneously, I probably would have never died. I mean, there's some parts where you come up to, it's like, it's almost impossible to not get hit because it just happens so quickly. So I mean, I'm sure there's some people out there, like they might get more out of this game if they're just perfectionists and they keep replaying it to try to get through it without ever taking damage, or, you know, save all of the quote-unquote hostages or the scientists or whatever that you're trying to rescue from the House of the Dead. So there's some replayability there if you really want to cane it. But overall, it was a fun time, but it was 32 minutes and it's $25, so kind of hard to recommend at that price. It's been cracked. So yeah, there you go. There's my my port report and review of the entire game of House of the Dead. I think this might be the first port report I've ever done where I actually completed the entire game before uploading a video, because usually I'm just discussing performance and maybe some first impressions on the gameplay. But with as short as this was, I actually completed the entire game in no time at all, and was able to, I could probably put the entire fucking playthrough up, honestly, and it wouldn't be that much of a chore. But I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Let me know your thoughts on the video down below at House of the Dead, especially if you've been playing it, or if you are a classic fan of the game. Like I said, it's worth trying, it's worth playing, I guess, for nostalgia purposes, but I'd wait for like a deep, deep sale on this one. I'd say $5 tops is what really what you should be spending on this. Or you can cane it like I did and beat it in under an hour and get a refund on Steam, which honestly shouldn't be much of a challenge for anyone, as it's really, really quick. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Hope you guys all have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you next time for another video. Ciao.